how is it right for somebody who never studied law, for somebody who have never been taught about law, to judge my life so I can spend the rest of my life in prison? That's my main question.
You know the jury system in the US?
You know, no, my question is, you just said we shouldn't go by how Western are doing their ways. We are between Rwandans, so we are looking for a solution how to bring our justice system, or even our political ways in a better doing. So my question is, how can we make that better? Because if you tell me anybody who is defined by the neighbor or anybody else can come and make a judgment about my life to spend the rest of my life, or just judge me and I end up spending the rest of my life behind in prison, and they never had a law, any law.
I think the question is clear.
Yes. And I will be criticized of not being part of the system. But anyway, there's a criticism on it, based on two things. The first one is that the concept of the church itself is great. Perhaps the greatest judicial system one can ever imagine on earth. However, what we had in Rwanda was not Cacaca. Completely, it's not Cacaca, it's just the judicial system that resigned because there was a huge number of people and created something and called it Cacaca. Why it was not? What is the Cacaca? I remember in my primary school time, whenever something went wrong, we would not run to the teacher, but we would go, and actually we would call it, let's go to the Cacaca, meaning it's between me and you, and the teacher should know it. Between brothers, they would go, and the parents should not intervene. So the Cacaca excludes the notion of authority. How did Cacaca in Rwanda came into being? It's the authority that said, pretend that it's coming from you, community. And community, pretend that there are things that went wrong, but those things that went wrong, you should not touch upon these ones. Touch upon these ones and play the game of community justice. That's the premises of the church in Rwanda are completely wrong. Yeah. If it had been a community justice like a church, what could I have had? The community sitting together and saying, you killed my son. Yes, I killed your son, but remember, I had just lost my own son as well. I was avenging my son. We don't have that. That's a community discussion. We don't have that community discussion.
I think there is one misinterpretation here, because Gacaca, the current Gacaca, even those who created the current Gacaca, never said that it is old Gacaca. He used to refer to words of Kinyarwanda. This Gacaca is called Inyiko Gacaca. The old Gacaca was called simply Gacaca. So this Gacaca, we are fully aware that it is different from the traditional Gacaca. The Inyiko, in between there is hyphen.
Okay, whatever it has been defined, or what was the origin to take that philosophy, on my understanding, the objective was to sentence a lot of people who were not able to be through the normal courts. So, indeed, it has been called Inyiko Gacaca. That means with the law. And the law, when you establish your law, like it is now, you establish your law according to what the objective you want to reach. And anyway, I don't want to go in deep on this because we'll take a lot of time to discuss. I'll come and see you, we'll discuss together. In our Gacaca. What I want to say, really, are you sure that Gacaca, because you say it has brought economics, effect, reconciliation between Rwandese, etc., this is the song I know. But how can you say that, okay, is, as you say, somebody come in the court, say, my son has been killed, let him speak, but now, until now, I would like to have only one example where a Tutsi had been sentenced by the church because he killed a Hutu. I think reconciliation, this is this. And Gacaca was for reconciliation, basically. Now it's not. It's just, okay, you have killed, I think you have killed, you have to go to Gacaca, you must be sentenced, first category, etc., etc. Then you go in jail. I think even for the economics, if we calculate now how many people have been sent to prison, how many people they are going there the whole day, how many loss of economics effect we have, this should be another story. Please, is it possible that Rwandans sit together and say, we have been wrong, listen to each other, say, how can we correct this? Because then with Gacaca and what has happened, there will be no reconciliation at all. Thank you.
Right side, then Paul.
My name is Raisa Ujeneza, and I guess I belong to the young generation Rwandans. Let's say the only thing I can agree with what I know from Rwanda is that, is to quote the journalist speaker, when he said Rwanda is sick. I am completely agreeing with him, and even though I don't know much about Rwandan history and I cannot make any factual statements right here, I know that the people who are speaking in front have more knowledge of Rwanda than I do myself. And then there are some things you said, Alphonse, that struck me. You talked about people insisting on talking about Hutus and Twas and Tutsis and the whole ethnical differences. How can you talk about the problems of Rwanda without even talking about the Hutus, Tutsis, and Twas? Or how can you try to look for a solution when the core of the problem is not even discussed or shouldn't be discussed? I think that's the need for insisting comes for the desire for recognizing the main problem of whatever is going on in Rwanda right now. That was my first question. My second question will be another comment that you made about actually you invited us to question what Europe did wrong. And you said that it's quite patronizing for Europe or the Netherlands to try to solve the problem of Rwanda. I think it's funny when Rwanda is welcoming all financial help from Western European countries and is holding their hand towards any criticism or any backup from which they don't like. And then you said that they are part of the problem, and I agree that the European countries and Western countries indeed have played a role which was negative for the Rwandan people, but shouldn't that mean even more that they should be part of looking at any solution in the future, because they have become part of the problem now? Those are my two questions.
Can you also shortly?
I will try to be very short. The last question, I will start with the last question. I go to Charles's first question and then I come to your last question. For me, I strongly believe that leadership cannot be a charity. You can help in science and technology, you can help in trade, but leadership cannot be an act of charity. That's my fundamental opinion. It has nothing to do with whatever they do in Rwanda. And I'm not part of the Rwanda's leadership, by the way. I should have made it clear from the beginning. Secondly, on reconciliation, personally, I think we don't even know what reconciliation means. That is my academic opinion. I think that we cannot make the difference between peaceful coexistence and reconciliation. When do we say reconciliation? Is the reconciliation when you come and ask for forgiveness and I say I have forgiven you? Is the reconciliation when you pay compensation? So the only thing I knew before, you've introduced a new element because you asked that you have not heard of a Tutsi who has been tried in Gacaca for killing a Hutu. That is a new element because, to my opinion, I knew of two things that have been always in fraud. That is the crime of genocide and war crimes, mainly. or crimes against humanity. And the crime of genocide, if you go, it has specific elements of crime that are different from specific elements of war crimes. We can debate about it, we can disagree, but I know for sure that all killings that happen during an armed conflict are not war crimes. And then for a war crime to be a war crime, there's specific elements of crime that are different from elements of the crime of genocide and crime of against humanity for that matter. That's a legal thing. It's not me who created it, but that's something you can read and find. I'm sure I can give you references. The Hutu, Tutsi, and the Tutsi responsibility. To me, this is, I don't want to be held responsible for a crime that was committed by, let's say, Charles, simply because he's a Tutsi or Hutu like me, that I should feel responsible. That would be collective responsibility. I think it should go on individual. So, and that is what immediately after the genocide, there was this generalization of Hutu responsibility. And every person you would meet who is, today it is sometimes difficult, you have to agree, to even some people it would be difficult to easily identify who is Hutu, but we sometimes intend to try to know. But by that time, every Hutu someone would meet would think this is a genocide, must have participated in the genocide. I think what the Gacaca helped us was to make the genocide responsibility be reduced from Hutus as a collective group to individuals. Now they are individual responsibility as opposed to collective responsibility. And I think if you cannot credit Gacaca for being fair on that, I simply cannot understand. Because that is the minimum, at least we can agree on, that a group cannot be held responsible for acts of individuals. I don't want to be responsible for the crimes that have been committed by a Tutsi or Hutu simply because I belong there, because I did not ask them to do so.
Can you enlighten me on, you said the genocide of Tutsis or on Tutsis. Then that is a classification you're putting there too, and you are actually excluding the Hutus and the Tutsis from that. How are you justifying that in your speech?
Can I ask you to read me this? Because this is the ICTR decision. Because it answers exactly that question. Because the crime of genocide has its, that's what I was talking about, it has its elements. The ICTR decision was asked two different things that it could prove to be the common knowledge, facts of common knowledge, things that have been proved beyond a reasonable doubt. So there was, yes, the genocide committed against Tutsi. It was a specific group protected under the Genocide Convention.
Was it unbiased research?
Sorry?
Is it an unbiased research that was done? Because that's something also that keeps coming back. Which side or whose story is being told?
I'm talking about a court decision.
I understand, but is that court decision also based on unbiased research?
No, a court decision is where evidence comes from witness and prosecution.
I understand that.
Okay, maybe we could go on to.
One word, just about
Yeah.
genocide.
If you.
Okay, this we stop.
Thank you, Reiser.